I always love watching Am I the Asshole videos, but I've never seen any about interior design, which is kind of my thing. If you're new here, my name is Medora Kia, I use they them pronouns, and I make videos about home design. I've compiled, I think, 5 stories. I have not read them yet, so we're going on this journey together. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, let me know by subscribing down below. I anticipate there will be lots of family and roommate drama in these stories, so let's get into it. Okay, so this first one is just titled AITA Interior Design Dispute, and apparently they were rated not the asshole, so let's see. I have always, since I... This is gonna be like reading in class, isn't it? Okay. I have always, since I was very young, taken an interest in proudly creating space I can live in that was both maximalist and pretty, particularly with interior decorating. I've always loved the 70s and wanted to do my future home in said style. When I met my boyfriend, he never even gave it a thought to decorate his place, not even a little bit. He himself said he never cared about decorations and making it his own place. But now that he's seen my place and how much effort I put into decorating, and said, "You made me want to take pride in my own place and decorate it." But the issue lies with the fact that he is now coming to me and telling me what I can and cannot have when we live together. For example, one of my dream things is a monarch butterfly patterned couch. Like, since I was really young, I wanted this. He has since come out and said I'm not allowed to have any patterned couch, or it has to be in my own special room away from his view. He has since started telling me things I can't have on my list, and has even gone as far as searching for already furnished apartments. When we met, he told me he loved my style and that, quote, "You may always do the decorating because I'm terrible at it." Much like previous relationships, it's making me feel like I'm being told to tone my style down, and I just don't know what to do. Like, of course he's allowed to have a say in what the places look like, but I'm not sure why so much of what I've always wanted to do is now ugly for him when he told me and reassured me that I can do whatever I want. Something I forgot to mention is that he has told me that I'm not going to be able to, quote, guilt him into changing his mind or, like, using emotion to get the answer I want. When what I wanted was to discuss it and figure out why he was suddenly not wanting the things that I had always wanted and not being as clear now. And I've also been told by him that he never said those things, like allowing me to do all the decorating, because he doesn't care about stuff like that. Not discrediting me, but just telling me that he didn't say that and he never would have said that. I will admit I have a very out there style, but I've always been very passionate about it and have had people in the past very much dampen my enthusiasm to the point of me almost getting rid of everything, and it's just feeling like I'm back where I started. Am I the a-hole for being a little upset about all of these huge sanctions on my side? And then there's a style note. This person's style is green shag carpet, patterned couch, wood paneling on the walls to mimic nature, blue and green bathroom, mushroom and owls, etc. And then there's also a note that says, also Google Milo Bowman monarch couch and you'll see what it looks like. So I will have to pop up a picture of that here. I don't have internet right now, but I will pop up a picture of that right here. Yeah, I absolutely don't think this person is the asshole. There just needs to be better communication. And if there isn't good communication, I don't know what to tell you. I don't necessarily want to jump to the conclusion of this dude's gaslighting you, break up with him, like yada yada yada. That feels maybe a little too extreme. But also him going back on saying that he never said those things when this person clearly remembers them being said. Granted, memory can be tricky. Human memory is not infallible, but I definitely get the impression that this dude is trying to dampen her style. So, and like, is this style something that I would ever put in my own home? No, absolutely not. But that's why it's not in my home, right? Everyone can have their own style. Everyone can like what they like. And when you're living with other people, you really need to be mindful about how you approach this together. You need to have sit-down conversations. You have to be like, I like this color wood tone. I like this shape of coffee table, etc. Like stuff like that. I'm definitely getting the vibe that he's jealous that you know what you like and he doesn't. That's the main vibe I'm getting. Obviously, you need to communicate about this better, but you also need to feel your feelings. And I'm specifically directing this at the guy. Feel your feelings, understand how they're impacting you, work through them, and communicate about it. That's how you work through these things. Okay, to get into the comments, they're basically just all saying not the asshole, which I agree with. This first one says, don't change your style just because he suddenly has a desire to have an opinion about yours. Agreed. The next one says, if this is so important to you, ditch him and find somebody who will full appreciate you. This might be a little extreme. I feel like people on Reddit always tell the girl to ditch the guy, which, to be fair, in most cases is probably not the worst idea. But this next one takes it even further and says, girl, he is gaslighting you. not the asshole, and leave this overbearing fool. They also said, now it's entirely possible that in future relationships, you may need to tone down the 70s vibe in a shared home. Not everyone likes the 70s style. That is true. 70s is very particular, but I think there are ways that you can bring in the 70s that make it like not quite as, like it's still very 70s, but it's not quite as bright and in your face about it. And then they said, but the fact that your boyfriend is basically lying to your face and saying he never said something when you clearly remember he did is a huge red flag. And yeah, that's definitely not a great sign, but again, this feels like something that's small enough that you can definitely talk through it. This next one says, no one should be forbidding you to do anything you want in your own home because of their opinion. That is a precursor to our shared life with this person. And while I agree, again, this feels like a little bit of a game of like, whose opinion is more important? Because clearly OP has an opinion, and clearly the boyfriend has an opinion. What they need to do is come together, figure out how they can mesh those opinions together and make it work. Someone asked, how long have you been dating this person? And they said close to 2 years now. So it's getting serious, but it's not like the most serious, you know? This person, I think, went a little too far. They said, OP, this is kind of a red flag. You sure he isn't trying to get you to break up with him by forbidding you things that he knows you've wanted for years? Always a possibility, but I feel like people on Reddit take it so far. I just started reading this one in my head. Okay, not the asshole. I don't think you're an asshole for feeling upset about the restrictions, but you do have to recognize that you two are on completely different ends of how you have your personal stuff decorated. Best scenario is you decide now what common spaces you both have a say on how it gets decorated, and then you both pick a section where you can go all out if you want without the other interjecting. This really might be the best case scenario if you have super, super drastically different design styles. It will make your home feel a little more disjointed, but if you can live with that, then this is probably the way to go. Oh, and then OP responded to that comment saying, this is what I wanted. Like, I could compromise, but again, with a pattern couch, it felt like there was no compromising. He just straight up told me I couldn't have one, and told me I'm not going to be able to guilt him into changing his mind when I wanted to discuss it and maybe compromise. And then this person responded to OP, not the asshole, you two are not compatible. I'm not just talking about design-wise either. Your communication styles are at odds, and it seems like you two have different values. You'd be better off finding someone who thinks you're awesome. He seems exhausted by you. And I think this is the most accurate response out there so far. They just feel like they're not compatible. And then someone responded to that saying, if he views compromising as a guilt trip on a couch and wallpaper, imagine what he's going to be like on big stuff. That is true. Yeah. Sometimes you got to pay attention to the little stuff before it blows up into a whole big situation. Not the asshole. Run, don't walk away from this guy. Oh, this is such a long comment. Okay. The term allowing is a huge red flag in my opinion. Or saying you absolutely cannot have that couch without any sort of discussion is a precursor to what I foresee as bigger problems in the future. What else will you not be allowed to do? Dress a certain way, keep relationships with certain friends. Part of why you fall in love with someone and why you are in a relationship is about compromise and finding a happy medium. The fact that he is disregarding your feelings and input, also on the apartment search, is quite alarming too. What in fact does he like about you? Or what did he fall in love with? If you are to stay together, you, OP, also shouldn't be saying this couch or nothing, and which I think she made clear in a comment that that's not what she said. And you both should find a comfortable style together, each putting your opinion on what you both like. Have more neutral mid-century modern pieces and add quirky accessories that are meaningful to both of you. Is there a special room that you can have all to your own, where you can have your monarch couch? A reading library, perhaps? I think you should have a serious sit-down and ask, you seemed to like my style before when we first met. What has made you change your mind? I don't know how well that conversation will go because he just flat out denied that he said that. And then they continue on. Sometimes an abuser will say all the right things at the beginning to get into a relationship, but true colors eventually show. Don't move in with this person if they're not willing to compromise or have discussions about anything. Not the asshole. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for that first story. Oh, also maybe for the two people who noticed, don't mind that new pot back there. There was a giant spider. I had to move the couch. I forgot that was there, and it knocked over, and so I had to repot it. Anyways, moving on to the second story. This one is titled AITA for not asking my interior designer aunt to help me redo my home. And they were voted not the a-hole. So let's see about that. So to make a long story short, my dad won a lot of money and didn't And I assume that means did what he said he would always do if he won the lotto. After taxes, keep half for him and mom and split the rest among us 4 kids as fairly as possible. I got the lease, but I also don't have kids like my siblings, and their extra money is for their college fund. I got plenty enough for myself, and I'm just thankful I got anything at all. So first thing was paying off all my debts, student loan, car, CC, I don't know what that means, and house, which was around $120,000, and I still have $180,000 left. So I'm keeping half of that for charity/investment/emergency fund, and the last $60,000 I want to put to use to fix up my house. I paid $60,000 for it, and it is in a rough part of town that is currently getting much better, and my home value has jumped to $25,000 in just 4 years. That is a crazy low house price. I'm wondering if you bought it like 30 years ago. Like, that's such a low house price. It was definitely before the housing crash, right? Or at least before COVID. I don't know. It is a bit run down, and with this money, I can redo a lot of the things I have wanted to fix but needed to save for. Here comes the issue. I asked my mom if she would help me design my house when everything in the world settles down. My mom is good at design, while I am not, and while my mom's personal taste is not my cup of tea, she knows what I like and has always fixed up a room and apartments in a way that I love. My aunt, the mom's sister, is a professional interior decorator and one of the few family members I talked to. Well, she found out I asked my mom, and not her, when mom asked her to keep an eye out for a certain design of stuff for my house she couldn't find online. My aunt called and started to guilt me and berate next for not even asking her to do it, despite me living hours away from her and living in an area she wouldn't even want to drive through, let alone stay for long periods of time. I felt bad until then she was shaming the style of stuff my mom was looking for and saying it was ugly and no one would like it. It is all stuff I loved and thought was super pretty, and told her so and said this is why I didn't ask her. She does everything in her personal style, which is my mom's personal style, and would just steamroll me into a design I hate and not branch out and do what I want like mom will do. She called me ungrateful and selfish, and I was robbing her of an opportunity to expand her clientele to the city and to do the job she was trained to do. And she wouldn't find pieces my mom was looking for me. So am I an a-hole for not even asking my aunt to help decorate my home? There is an edit here, but first of all, no. Clearly, I don't know where this person was trained, but usually when you're trained to do something professionally, you're trained to listen to your client and do what your client needs. So no, definitely not the a-hole. Edit to clarify why I even may feel like the asshole, even since I got a DM saying there was no way I could. My aunt used to do quite a bit of business in the city I live in now, but that was when she was the kind of decorator that also had their own construction crew to do the knocking down of walls and stuff. Okay, so it sounds like this person is an interior designer and not just an interior decorator. 2 different things. Decorators just focus on the styling of a space, so couches, other furniture, furnishings, handles, like stuff like that, whereas an interior designer tends to work with renovations, which is the knocking down of walls and stuff. It was her husband who did most of the handiwork and led the crew for the bigger jobs he couldn't do alone. Then about 5 years ago, he died very unexpectedly of a heart attack. Oh, that makes this whole situation so much more complicated. He was at another family member's house doing some work on their kitchen while they were at work, and they came home. Oh gosh. He was at another family member's house doing some work on their kitchen while they were at work, and they came home to him sitting in the recliner dead. It was terrible for everyone, as he was the sweetest, kindest man. My aunt stopped working for a few years, so she lost all her city clients as she battled with the depression of losing my uncle and living off of the rental properties they had and the life insurance. About 2 years ago, she started her business back up and has been doing things locally, but wants to get back into the city scene. She wants me to be her ticket in so she can show people some of her work in their locale, but doesn't like the idea of my style. I want my house to be like a greenhouse, plants everywhere, cat-friendly flooring and decor so they don't scratch it up, and have wall space to jump up and be off of the ground, aquariums and vivariums all over for fish and reptiles. Not her scene or the kind of view her clients would want to see. Okay, so the background information definitely makes the situation a little more complicated, for sure. But I'm still gonna go with not the asshole. If she has any sense of doing business, she'll know that you guys aren't a good fit for each other, and that her decorating your house is not gonna help her unless it screws you over, which is not a good use of her skills, I say loosely. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. First comment, 51 upvotes, says, not the asshole. If she can't listen to her client's taste, I don't see how that would build her clientele base at all. Yeah, like I just said, they're just not a good fit. OP responded to that saying, She tried to tell me that her clients trust her tastes and always end up happy and love the results. And I'm sure they do. But I'm not a middle-aged lady who wants everything white and beige or wanting to sell it after fixing it up and looking for the best resell style. Okay, so it sounds like this aunt has a very, like, suburban mom chic style. I don't want to be too mean, but, like, I would hesitate to call anyone who has that style an interior designer. Is that really, really rude? I don't think that style, and, like, we all know what style that is. Like, just no. And, like, I don't want to be up on my high horse too much because, like, you can have whatever design style you like, and that's fine. But to have this specific style, to force it on all of your clients, and to call yourself a designer when you're just copying Pinterest from the early 2000s, a little conflicted there. And they responded again saying, yeah, no, same with my aunt. Love her to death, but her taste is not my taste. It's perfectly fine to say, my mom knows the style I'm looking for. Your style is nice, but it's not exactly what I want. And then they also added, resell decor and living decor are different in my opinion, which I agree. Like, reselling has become such a big thing over the past, I don't know, decade or so. And I get it. It's an easy way that you can, like, get a little bit more cash in your pocket. And I think a lot of people are either doing the pieces of furniture a disservice or they're doing their customers a disservice. Someone responded in this thread, it sounds like your aunt's been through a lot, but I don't really get how designing your house would help her career. How would people know what she did? It doesn't sound like you're planning on selling your house. Do you know a lot of middle-aged women who want to flip their homes? And then OP responded, last time she got into the city and started designing for people, it was her doing a friend who lived there. And once there, she was able to go to stores and shows that are for designers and talk to people and get her name and cards into people's hands. I have no idea how the interior designer market is, but I also know that she posts her work on Instagram and Facebook pages for people to see and share. So this comment makes it sound like she didn't have any training and she kind of just decided to be an interior designer, which is like, I'm pretty sure you actually are not able to legally call yourself an interior designer if you don't have the proper credentials. That's why you just make a YouTube video and start telling people about interior design and get people to trust you and, you know. This person just says, NTA, ask whoever you want. Just because she's your aunt doesn't mean you have to ask for her help. And I think that's the most important thing here. Your aunt is offended that because you're family, she assumed you were gonna, like, try to help her or something. And honestly, if you're trying to build a business, your family and friends probably aren't gonna be your target audience. So I don't understand why she would assume that they have to help just because they know each other, even though it's not the right fit. I just keep coming back to it's not the right fit, which is actually a perfect segue into my free consultations, because any sort of professional like this should offer a free consultation to make sure that you're a good fit. I genuinely did not plan this out at all. But if you go to my website, medorakia.com, right on the homepage, there's a button to schedule a free consultation to see if we're a good fit. So if you're interested in that, go to medorakia.com. I think I already said that. I don't know. This is why I should script parts of the video like this. Okay, more comments. Someone says, info, was your aunt volunteering to do this job for free? OP said, no, I would get the family rate. I'll be real, I don't even know what she charges, so I wouldn't even know if I was getting cheaper than normal or not. And then they responded, if that's the case and your mom is helping you for free, then totally not the a-hole. OP responded to that saying, all my mom helping me costs is that she wants me to go on a quality time trip with her when it's possible to travel again. Oh, so this must have been during COVID, which is fine by me. I love quality time trips with my mom anyway. That sounds really nice and a fun bonding experience for you both. It is smart of you to control the budget and not pour too much that's disproportionate to a $100,000 house, which is inevitable if you're paying a ton of fees. OP responded saying, yeah, the house when I got it was $60,000. It is valued at $85,000 now. And the other houses that people are buying cheap and fixing up nice are going for $150,000. I'm finishing part of the basement to add another bathroom and space downstairs to add more resale value for when I do sell years later down the road. But I'm not spending more than it's going to be worth. Yeah, that is definitely a good idea, to be very conscious about where you're putting your budget and putting it in a space where you will get the most bang for your buck, whatever that means for you. For some people, that might be decorating your home in a really fun, funky style. For some people, that might be adding a bathroom in the basement so that when you do eventually sell the house, it'll be worth a lot more. Okay, someone said, your mom is helping you style the place your way and you get to spend time with her, which will make it even more special. Yes. Your aunt needs to shut up and get back in her box. She's not going to be a good consultant if she's not even willing to take into account, oh, this is cut off, her client's wishes. Yes, agreed. Yeah, and basically all the rest of the comments are just saying, not the a-hole. So I think we'll leave that one there. Plus, it's gonna be a long video. Maybe I'll only do 3. Because this is taking forever. Okay, let's call this one the last one. AITA for telling my girlfriend her home decor is the reason I won't host a work gathering at her place. And this person has been voted the asshole, so we are ending out strong here. I, 32 male, have been with my girlfriend, 29 female, for over a year now. She's smart, funny, a bit quirky, and has a serious job with a good salary. We have a great time together and generally get along very well. The only thing is her choice in home decor is bizarre, to put it frankly, and not something you think a normal, grown adult would be into. Her apartment is definitely a reflection of herself and her interests, not in the best way though. I already don't like how this guy is talking about her. Ugh. Like, it started out good, and I think that's always what people do when they know they're gonna say something that's, like, kind of shitty. They start out with the good stuff, and then they're like, but. So, not loving that so far. My girlfriend has a wall dedicated to animation in one room of her apartment, like Futurama pieces and etchings of some weird triangle guy. Then there's the wall of framed preserved insects in another room, but not insects like butterflies or moths. Instead, she displays tarantulas, beetles, and large stick insects. Her bathroom has a subtle theme of the ocean, pretty common, but instead of starfish or shells, she has a little anglerfish nightlight, a small vampiric squid painting, and then a framed diagram of what apparently is a goblin shark right by the toilet. I would say a majority of her home decor and furnishings are okay. The apartment itself is very modern and sleek. It's just the random decor and juvenile-ish themes like cartoons, insects, and bizarre ocean creatures is off-putting. This is where I might be the a-hole. I like that he actually admits that he might be the a-hole. That's at least one redeeming quality. Because a lot of people will not admit that. I avoid bringing people over to her place, especially people from my job, because of how juvenile it looks. Everyone's impressed when they see the high-rise, but that quickly fades when you enter. One time I brought a work colleague over, they ended up telling me that they found her insect wall terrifying. I work in finance, and appearances and first impressions are important. Okay. My office will hold casual gatherings where we get together for a few drinks, good food, and we rotate hosts. And this time, it's my turn. The problem is, my place is under some construction, and it's not an ideal place to be right now, so I've been staying with my girlfriend. My girlfriend suggested that we host my colleagues here, since she has the space and thinks it'll be fun. I told her I'm planning on skipping my rotation and seeing if the next person would be okay with hosting early. She kept pressing on why I didn't want them over here, so finally I said it's because her home decor is strange and not something a grown woman would have, and also that her insect wall horrified the one colleague that did come over. My girlfriend got mad and said at the end of the day, it's not my space and these things bring her joy. She also said that she is indeed an adult woman, which is exactly why her apartment is decorated in such a manner. I love my girlfriend, I do, and it's okay to have different interests. But does an adult really need to decorate with them besides a few things here and there? I mean, my own mother asked if my girlfriend was autistic after she saw the entire apartment for the first time. So Reddit, AITA for telling my girlfriend her home decor is the reason I won't host a work gathering at her place. Okay, lots of thoughts and opinions. First of all, kind of offensive that his mom automatically asked if she was autistic, and I'm saying that as an autistic person myself. Like, I mean, props to her, I guess, for at least knowing that women can be autistic, I guess, but there is no autistic home decor style, because I'm also autistic, and I don't have all sorts of, like, bugs and stuff. Although, this person just sounds like a fun science nerd. So that's the kind of person I would get along with. And is all of that my personal design style? No. But also, I love when people share their passions in their home. It really makes a home feel much more inviting and vulnerable when people can say, here's this thing that I really love. Please hold my excitement for this. And then you do. It feels like that kind of home will foster more of an interpersonal connection with people in your life rather than something that's really bland where you just have like a couple things scattered here and there, which is what he was advocating for. Okay, so his question is AITA for telling my girlfriend her home decor is the reason I won't host a work gathering at her place. I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say not the a-hole, specifically because of the way he worded this question. She's allowed to have her home decor. He's allowed to not host a work gathering at her space because of it. Those are both their own very separate things. Where I think he is an a-hole is that he clearly has some preconceived notions of what adult women's spaces can look like. And this is not fitting into that. And so he is having his own feelings about that. And he's not doing a good job processing those feelings on his own and communicating about them with the girlfriend. Okay, the comments. This first one quotes the guy saying, "I think her home decor is childish." And then this person asks, "What age do children usually have preserved tarantulas and vampiric squids as home decor?" And then there's an edit saying, "Obviously the question was rhetorical. It's fine if you don't think her apartment's ambiance is appropriate for a work event, but you are the a-hole for dating someone you don't actually like and then expecting them to dull who they are so your coworkers don't get the vapors." I don't know if that's the word they were trying to use there. Yeah, I know you say you like her, and I'm sure you like her appearance and her money and her high status building, but you clearly have nothing but disdain for her personality and interests. She doesn't have to beige herself down to satisfy your weird obsession with appearing adult. And I agree. I think that probably sums up most of the comments here, but let's keep going. Someone responded to that saying, "I think those might be expensive decor for children to afford." And someone chimed in saying, "Pieces like this are very expensive. Source, I collect similar items." They are dating now, but if this bothers OP so much, I don't think the relationship is going to last. How are they eventually supposed to live in the same space? Is she going to be expected to get rid of everything that brings her joy, stuff that she has collected and curated over years, just to appease a man that seems to have no personality and hates that she shows hers off? You're the a-hole. Stop making her feel bad about being who she is, or break up with the poor girl. She deserves better. And I definitely agree with that last statement. She deserves better. Someone responded to that, "I guarantee you if he does think about living with her, he's expecting her to grow up and get rid of her collections." It's not a guarantee. Again, you just have to communicate about these things. There are definitely some types of compromises that could be made in a situation like this if you actually are right for each other. But similar to that first story, it just sounds like they're not compatible. Like in other ways, regardless of the home decor. Someone said, "TBH, I am terrified of spiders and most insects, so I get not wanting to look at this type of decor, but I still don't think of any of it as childish and would not have reacted as OP did. OP is very much the a-hole and doesn't sound compatible with her partner at all. You don't have to like the things she likes, but the way you're crapping over her interests is very disrespectful." Yeah, I think it just comes down to not respecting her space. Again, he has every right to say that I don't want to have a work event here, and this is the reason why. I don't think he's an asshole for that. But the way that he has kind of taken this whole situation and been like, I really, really hate this part of my girlfriend, even though it's clearly a huge part of her, big red flag. Someone said, "Everyone wants the manic pixie dream girl until they get the manic pixie dream girl, and then they want to fix her." Yeah, and that really hits on so many intersections of mental illness, disability, race, desirability politics. Like, it just, it goes on and on. Someone responded to that saying, "Right, they want the quirky girl until they get her, then they tear her down and try to make her hate everything about herself." I used to take these comments like a knife in the stomach. I tried so hard to make my home an adult space for other people to see how normal I was. I tried so hard to be a different person, a real adult. Now, my primary decor is fish tanks, plants, animal bones, bugs in bottles, pretty rocks, art, book, anime, video games, and I'm a sucker for old/odd ways to make coffee and tea, so that's everywhere. And of course, mushrooms and snails and frogs and owls/ravens. My house is a mess, but my husband said it feels like a magic house, and he's always trying to show it off, even when I feel ashamed of it. That's the kind of partner you need. And honestly, that sounds kind of like one of my ex-partner's design styles. He describes it as, what was it, like Swamp Witch, Dark Academia, or something like that. Again, anything can... I don't know if I'll go so far as to say it's anything, but most things can be a vibe if you make it a vibe. Moving on, this person says, "Even if she is, OP is 100% the a-hole. Adult people are allowed to have interests, whether offbeat or childish, and to have their space reflect those interests. OP even says that their girlfriend's flat represents her, but not in the best way. OP, her decor is her. OP's girlfriend's flat sounds fucking cool, and even though I hate insects, I'd like to see the Abyss bathroom." Someone responded to that saying, "I personally hate live creepy crawlies, but that's because I don't want them on me. Creepy crawly exhibits of live or dead ones where they're behind glass, endlessly fascinating. They're amazing creatures and deserve to be liked and loved. I just don't want them crawling next to my skin. Her apartment sounds amazing. I'd love to look around and engage her in conversation." Someone said, yeah, OP sounds like he would be better off with a plain Jane girlfriend with Pottery Barn home decor. His girlfriend sounds too cool for him. And someone said, same, I already like OP's girlfriend way more than I could ever like OP. She sounds very interesting in a good way. OP sounds like an old stuffy guy with all the excitement of dry toast and a warm glass of water. I stopped reading at Anglerfish Nightlight because OMG, I need one. And someone responded to that saying, also, OP, I'm in love with her girlfriend just based on her decorating style. If she ever becomes available, ... And someone responded to that saying, let's form a nice orderly line, people. The girlfriend's about to get flooded with friend requests and date inquiries from both genders. I mean, all genders, but at least they were trying to be more inclusive. Let's make this as clean and orderly as possible. She's dealt with enough bullshit dealing with this bozo. Yeah, and someone said, somebody tell entomologists their research is for children. Yeah, no, there's so much cool science. And honestly, this reminds me of the Ologies episode on entomology, which I will link below. It's a sciencey podcast, but sciencey in a way that is actually accessible and fun. And honestly, this girlfriend sounds like the type of guest who might be on Ologies. Someone said, he wants a hot goth girlfriend with none of the work. And another person said, he wants his manic pixie dream girl, but in secret. And then someone said, shit, man, I'd rather get called an asshole than a spineless coward. And then I think we'll end with this quote. Someone said, reminds me of the C.S. Lewis quote, when I become a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be very grown up. So I think we'll leave it with that. If you like this style of video, again, let me know down below. And if you're interested in any sort of design services with me, check out my free consultation on my website, or go to patreon.com/medorakia for live one-on-one design sessions with me. All right, go drink some water and touch some grass. Bye.